Hey guys, Chaps here, and let's talk about free-for-all. I'm just gonna start out by saying that I absolutely believe that free-for-all can, and for the most part does, work in Gears of War. The way it was introduced in Gears 5 was kind of boring, but I think it's on the right track now. Bringing the mode over to standard maps is a necessary change, and shrinking the player count in a lobby will probably help with matchmaking times. Honestly, I don't know why free-for-all launched the way it did, but it's whatever. That's in the past, and that's not the focus of this video. Today, I wanted to discuss my number one biggest gripe with free-for-all, and that's the inability to matchmake with friends. Alright, yeah, I know what most of you are thinking. That's a terrible idea. I don't want teams or groups running around and ruining the experience. I hear you, and I 100% agree, but I urge you to listen to my thoughts here and maybe start to see where I'm coming from. Oh, and let me be clear right up front. I'm talking about social free-for-all only. None of what I'm saying here applies to ranked. Let's obviously keep that one as a solo queue. Now before I get into why allowing guest and free-for-all would work, I want to start out with why I even want it in the first place. I don't play as often as I used to, and when I do it's usually with a friend or two. This means that a majority of the time that I'm playing, I'm ineligible to play free-for-all, at least unless I split off from my friends. Not only does this hurt the population, and thus the matchmaking times for the mode, but it also limits us from playing something that we really enjoy. Many may interpret this as us wanting to play together so that we can team up, but in reality it's quite the opposite. We're not the best players, but we do enjoy competing against each other. Like, even in the team modes, we're constantly racing to beat each other out for that MVP slot. FFA would just be the ideal mode for us to kick back, relax, and try to beat each other. In the past, many have offered up the solution of just going into private matches. I mean, I've hosted a few when I can get enough people, but I've never really been one for checking out the Versus server browser. To start with, I'd prefer if my playtime was actually contributing towards something, like, the Tour of Duty or ranking up, something like that, rather than getting nothing out of these private lobbies. I also don't really want to rely on finding the proper lobbies from server browser when there's a perfectly acceptable solution sitting right there with matchmaking. But regardless of why I want it, let's chat about why I don't think it would actually be an issue. First off, I can't help but bring up Judgment. Judgment allowed parties to search together. I reached max re-up, and free-for-all was my most played game mode, and I can probably count on one hand the number of times I saw people teaming up. It just wasn't as common as people would think. There's no denying that teams are bad, I won't argue that, but I personally don't think they'll be an issue, and here's a few reasons why. To start with, TC could, and should, issue temporary suspensions for anyone caught doing it. We may have a few people doing it at the start, but I feel like they'll move on pretty quickly. Next up is that it's pretty boring. I don't know if you've ever teamed up with someone in free-for-all, like in any game, but it's actually not fun. You need to share the kills, so neither of you will probably win, and depending on the lobby, you'll also find a lot of players just avoiding you. Of course, if I catch you in my lobby, I'll make it my personal goal to seek you out and ruin your experience if I catch you teaming up. The last point, and I know this isn't a great one, is that it's social. If you find people teaming up and you don't like it, just find a new lobby. While that's not ideal and it's not your fault that people are teaming up, I really don't think it's as big of an issue as people would like to make it out to be. Like I said, we may see some teamers near the start, but once the initial wave is over, I think the mode will be better off in the long run. At the end of the day, it comes down to weighing the pros versus the cons. The pros are that it would seemingly increase the player count for the mode and allow friends to play together. I can't say how large of an effect that is, but being Gears is a pretty social game. I'd say it's a pretty reasonable amount. The only real con I see is that people could now team up. That's a pretty big con, but through the strict enforcement and how quickly the novelty of it would wear off, and combined with our previous experience from Judgment, I really don't think that this would be a common occurrence. So yeah, that's my put. I would personally love to see it, but I'm guessing that's a pretty unpopular opinion. What do you all think? Would you benefit at all from allowing parties in free-for-all, or do you think it's just not worth the risk? Let me know what you think on Twitter. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button for more content like this. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll catch you next time.